Good afternoon, Abbotsford residents. Abbotsford residents asked me today to do a podcast on the BC Conservatives and what I think as when I ran for mayor of what would be taking place. Where do I stand? I want to make this clear. This journey that I was on with Abbotsford residents wasn't about politics. It was residents that said they saw enough of people in offices like Henry Brown that took office to gain and use that chair for greed. There's crime for need, but this crime was done for greed. Today I want to speak to you about David Eby. I want to show you that David Eby is the most hated premier in BC's history. We're only a few days out from the BC election here across BC. Whether you vote Greens, whether you support independents, or whether you back the BC Conservatives, this is your choice. But as BC residents, we must take a deep look into David Eby's history right now. And we must not be faced with the things that we were faced with. We saw our nurses stripped of their positions and hammered down and financially hurted. We saw our hospitals blocked. We saw what took place in the coronavirus. We saw this all under the NDP. I stand in Abbotsford, BC. Between Abbotsford and Chilliwack is the most Christian valued rules across this great province that we live in. We're counting on the Christians' values to stand up and either elect the full slate of the BC Conservatives or independents, but wipe out the NDP and wipe them out once and for all. I stand here to show you the BC Conservatives. Candidates are pulling together to help. You see Bruce Bamman, you see Rianne Gasper, and you see Corky Neufeld. All of them joined an office together to do this. Last night I was at a debate in Mission, BC. I saw the former mayor stand up, which is very unlikely that this ever happens, to call out what Pamela Alexis and the NDP are doing, and they gotta go. I stood there and I watched the podcast of Brad Viss calling out David Eby and the radical stuff of the NDP and said enough's enough. This means that these politicians above the BC Conservatives and mayors have sent the loud, clear messages to residents that we're on watch for you. The NDP has to go. Pay close attention when your mayors are standing up and saying enough of Pamela Alexis and David Eby, and when MPs are not scared to stand up and say enough of NDP David Eby. I want to touch on something that I was asked, which is very dear to me, a hospital and the shutdowns. I watched these debates between what David Eby says and what John Rustas said, what Pam says and what candidates say. The hospital is a #1 need. The slanderous campaigns by the NDP has made school kids all across BC hate David Eby personally. They said it's a garbage act what he has lowered himself to do to try to win the position. What do I tell you about the hospitals? This man wants to go and put SkyTrain forward on billions and trillions of dollars for contractor friends that is his friends. Probably when he loses the election, that's where he's probably going to go over and get a job. That SkyTrain should be canceled immediately. The BC Conservatives could say that's where we'll get the money to get the hospitals up, the nurses up, and get ERs open, get Mission open, and get everything. I'd rather walk than be laying in a hospital sick, or laying there that I know my future, I'm going to die because there's no hospital, because some ass like David Eby had no brain and wanted this SkyTrain for his friends to get richness. Cancel the SkyTrain immediately. Put them hospitals back up and running. The province needs hospitals. So today, ladies and gentlemen, I'm at the BC Conservative campaign headquarters. It's up to us now to make that decision. We must make that decision very clear today. We saw what Brad Viss said last night and what Mayor said. The NDP's got to go. Let's listen very close, because them are the leaders that know that these guys are no good for the province. I'm live here at the BC Conservative campaign. Please get out now and get these votes out And let's get rid of Pamela Alexis and David Eby, live from Abbotsford, BC.